Welcome to the Dalen Show. People. It is so good to see you for the finale of season number 4. I know you guys, and myself included, have been waiting on this for such a long time. And I just want to say thank you for your patience and your grace. School is back in session, so I've just kind of been ripping and running over the last month and trying to keep myself mentally sane as well. So I know we've had about a month off from that 19th episode to this final episode. So I apologize for that, but I just want to say thank you guys for keeping in contact with me and continuing to showing a lot of love and grace over the last month. And I'm just super excited for this one. This one is I actually right now in the Ole Miss Student Media Center here around the News Watch area. So I kind of specified this one kind of particularly for our guest today. But without me talking too much, let's introduce my main man, Colin Cody. Woohoo! And first of all,
the intro, I love it. Welcome to the day. I love that. That's good stuff, bro. I
appreciate it, man. We gotta that's my signature thing. We gotta keep the energy going, especially for the last episode. And I just want to say thank you for joining me, man. It means a lot for you kind of just giving me a little bit of your time. Colin, how's everything going for you, man, right now with everything in your life right now?
Man, it's good. I was just coming out of like a dead period. The summer months kind of, can be a lull in sports, which I'm grateful for. Like, don't get me wrong. I love covering football, NFL, college, Ole Miss, NBA, and all that stuff. But when I get to have my free time, man, I really like to enjoy it. Take a few trips, go see some family, and play some golf. How about you?
Love it, man. I'm doing all right, man. We kind of talked about a little bit, but I'm like everyone kind of knows, busy, trying to maintain my schedule, be organized, but I'm doing good, man. Colin, real quick, for people listening and watching that may not know a lot about you, just like quickly, could you give like a brief overview about maybe where you're from, what you do currently, and just some things you've been able to do across your lifetime to get you where you are today?
Yeah, I keep it short and sweet. From Memphis, Tennessee, born and raised in Memphis. Grew up playing all types of sports. And man, through sports, I was able to find a passion for journalism. And with that, man, I've traveled I've lived in, I guess, though I'm back home now as a sports broadcaster and reporter, I've lived in 3 other cities and states doing sports journalism and just journalism in general. I started out after I graduated Ole Miss in 2015. I went to Jackson, Mississippi. I was a news photographer there, and I was working the weekend, grinding, trying to get a name, get my foot in the door and make a name for myself. Then I moved to Alexandria, Louisiana, a little small spot right in central Louisiana. Then I moved to Augusta, Georgia, and I was there for 4 years. And I was fortunate to cover 4 Masters tournaments. And I mean, some of the wildest ones you could think of. More recently, the most recent Tiger, his latest major, the one in November, which was postponed due to COVID. So it wasn't in the month of April, which it usually falls in. So I covered that one. I've covered, I covered 2 others besides that. The one that had the first Japanese-born player to win a Masters in Hideki Matsuyama. So yeah, I've seen it all. Well, I ain't gonna say I've seen it all, but I've seen a lot of golf, covered a lot of things, rubbed elbows with quite a few people, and just kind of, journalism has kind of taken me across the Southeast, and it's been a fun ride.
I want to ask you real quick before we kind of get going fully. I know we met a couple weeks ago at an event that you were brought back to Ole Miss to kind of conduct and have students there and watch you kind of do a little interview conversation with someone throughout your journey for the school to kind of be in awe of who you are in your work and be able to invite you back to do things like that. For you, how kind of like just special is that to be able to know that the school has recognized what the hard work that you've put in over the last years?
Man, it means a lot. I mean, it means a lot. I love what they're doing at the SMC, and what it meant for me. As a student that came in at Ole Miss, and I mean, I bounced around two majors prior to picking
Hmm.
journalism, and I'm not gonna say it was easy once I decided to go in the journalism route. But I had some amazing professors that helped coach me and teach me up. Didn't feel like I was, you know, gonna do well in this profession. And also, I had a lot of good people who I call friends and colleagues now, like
Yeah.
that were, let's say, top of the class. And um, I'm the type of person. I mean, I don't necessarily need the recognition, but when I'm
Hmm.
seeing other people, shine and get their uh, accolades and everything, it's just gonna push me even more. So, I didn't feel back in my time. But what I did was I used the networking and the skills of being able to have conversations with people that I was taught at Ole Miss, and it's helped me along the way. And I'm grateful for what the school has allowed me to do as I try to work my way back as an alumnus, and it's just been it's been very inviting. I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand when you do decide to go to Ole Miss. A lot of times, those doors you walk into, you might be meeting a mentor or your best friend and people that can help you along your journey outside of school, after school. And going back to your point, it felt great. It feels good to be able to, I guess, shine a positive light
Hmm.
back to a place that has kind of paid it forward for me and opened a lot of doors for me.
I love that, man. Colin, talk about your hometown, Memphis. What was it like for you growing up there? And I know you've been able to now make a circle and be back in Memphis. Just talk about growing up in Memphis. What was it like for you, and as well, kind of your love for sports. Where did that come from, and how did you continue to follow that love throughout your life?
Yeah, no, it's been a real full circle type of moment. I actually worked for WREG, the station I actually grew up watching. Me and my grandfather, when I was growing up, that was his favorite station. That's all we watched in my house. We would watch that, then 60 Minutes, then he'll go back to watch the news at 6, then all of a sudden we watched Entertainment Tonight. I already remember the format with Dan Rather coming on at 5. And yeah, so growing up in Memphis, it's special to me. I love being a Memphian. I love repping the 901. Though I went to the school in the 662, man, I'm Memphis through and through. I went to Christian Brothers High School, but I mean, I grew up in South Memphis, so I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
traveled 30 minutes to school each and every day when I was in high school. So I got to see the best of both worlds, is what I like to call it, when I was growing up, and my infinite love for sports, man. It's always been in me. My father was a professional athlete. He played football for many years, from the NFL arena to Canadian, and I have several uncles who played Division 1 sports as well. My sister, she actually was a sprinter at Mizzou. I'm the only one that kind of didn't follow suit with going full fledged into sports, but I was a four-sport athlete in high school, so I've always been engulfed with you know what you can do physically and challenging yourself, pushing your body, and just trying to be the best version of yourself. And yeah, I mean, it was just great. And I think once I got to college, I had to kind of reinvent my motivation, my way of thinking, and things that pushed me. And yeah, journalism was something that I thought would, you can always sharpen your skills, keep continue getting better and better, and change your perspective about how you tell stories or how you interview people. And yeah, it's just a forever changing game.
I know you said you played a lot of sports growing up and through high school. What were some of the things that you played?
Oh, I played basketball, football, track, soccer. I went to one lacrosse practice. Uh-oh. I didn't say your name. Sorry. She I don't know what she thinks. Never mind. I ain't even gonna say it. But yeah, so I actually won a state championship in track and field my first year doing track, my junior year in high school. I did the 200, 400, long jump and triple jump and high jump. And yeah, we won the state title. And basketball was my first love. I intended on playing Ole Miss. Um, besides being a practice player there when I arrived on campus. But it just wasn't in the cards for me, and I enjoyed my time in that arena and just playing and just being a kid, man. It was so fun. Like nowadays, I don't feel like I've been that far removed from when I was sitting in the seat that you were in, Dalen. But man, you don't get those days back. Being able to go to the Turner Center, or I don't even know if y'all still got this Turner Center, but I'm a
Mm-hmm.
legend there. I'm gonna let you know I'm a legend in there. I put up buckets, man. They got a plaque on the wall with my name and some ankles attached to it as well. But yeah, I used to have a lot of fun.
I want to ask you because I know that you kind of said, journalism wasn't your original major. So I want to ask, coming out of high school and going through that process, was Ole Miss your first choice? Like, what was your college like process decision like if you had one, and what made maybe Ole Miss stand out compared to other schools during the time that you really were in the midst of doing different things?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I remember the days of my senior year, and everybody's like really, you know, they know where they want to go. They always know, and I did too at one point in my life. My parents, they went to the University of Memphis. Being from Memphis, there's a lot of Tennessee Volunteer fans here as well, and I was balancing and juggling all of that, but at the same time, like I said, man, I was trying to also see what would be the best um, possibility of me playing a sport, at a high level. So coming out of high school, I had opportunities to go to Xavier down in New Orleans. I was thinking about UT Chat, Murray State, and you know, just something about being in a small environment like that is something I've experienced in several ways. And I was like, man, I could really go there and potentially thrive in academics and athletics, but you know, something about me also wanted to experience the big school environment. And being that Oxford is 70 miles from my doorstep, it was like a great opportunity for me to kind of get out of my comfort zone, be somewhat close to home, but also experience what it was like to go to the Grove. And that was actually um, my first time going to the Grove. I was 12 years old. My uncle took me to a Ole Miss versus Auburn game, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember walking to Vaught Hemingway Stadium, and I was like, "Dang, this is cool!" Like, and I remember the first down, Ole Miss. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember him telling me, "Yeah, they do that every time, and they got a lot of first downs that day." So that was my first real SEC experience,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so Ole Miss was always in the back of my brain. And when it came down to decision day, I was like, I had a lot of friends kind of going to Oxford. It wasn't MTSU where a lot of people were going from Memphis. I kind of wanted to do something different. And I just thought it was going to be a outstanding fit for me, and I enjoyed myself. And it was the right decision. A lot of the guys I went to high school with, a lot of my friends from high school that came with me, and we still locked in like this to this day. And yeah, we just took a little Memphis flavor down south to across the border to Mississippi, and it turned out to be a good time.
Can I ask you? This is kind of towards me, but also people may be watching that are maybe in my age or even older that may be in a position like you were at a time that you talked about. You was change your majors twice because you really didn't know if you really love what you were doing. I want to ask you, could you give a piece of advice? So like in this, and again, like I said this, like this can be people older than me that still are trying to figure out what they want to do. But like, could you
Yeah,
give a piece of advice of just kind of maybe like the process that you went through throughout that time and
yeah.
just the advice that you may would give someone trying to figure out what I actually want to do with my future, with my life. Like, what advice would you give to someone going through that
That's a
time?
really good question, man. Because I need some advice today about what I'm gonna do tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing changes, and I think with life in general, it's all about making decisions and sticking to those decisions. And I think when a lot of people are making those choices like, is this going to be the path I'm on
Mhm.
for the rest of my life, for the next 5 years, or how hard is it going to be switch, or how hard is it going to be for me to switch and go a different direction? I wanted I came in with the mindset I wanted to do something that was going to probably be a little more, let's say, not as creative. And
Yeah.
me personally, I feel like I like to create and work things out and to develop things and do things differently. So I think the biggest thing is just kind of not. I don't want to say something like as cliche as like knowing yourself, but I don't. I think you should try certain things, and also when you experience those things, just eliminate what you do or don't like about said major or decision, and you pivot. I mean, that's what life is about. It's about making choices, about pivoting. And I feel like a lot of people get bogged down with the idea like, well, if I go this direction, I can never go that way. Well, you never know. Like, you never know how things are going to work out. I know a lot of people that have gone into, let's say, business, but they end up in my profession. I mean,
Hmm.
like, you can do a lot of things. And I think that's one thing about today in today's society where yeah, you might have this certain title and this certain skill, but it can also just be a tool to help you grow in another area of your life where you can combine the two and you can ultimately just become a better businessman or leader or politician because you got a different perspective than your counterpart. So I think that for anyone trying to figure things out, I'm still trying to figure everything out myself.
Hmm.
I think the biggest thing is to take the leap of faith and to go for what you assume would be a good fit for you. If it's not, you take your lick and you chop it up and you put that in your back pocket. But you also can use whatever you experience as a tool that's going to set you up down in the long run.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Because I've had those thoughts, and I know other people are going more than likely going through times of, do I really love this? Do I really not love this? Or can I see myself being successful at this? Can I not? And I've always been that person to advocate, don't do anything that you don't love. And
yeah,
I know that sounds like that's easier said than done. But I've always just been really big on that. And it's weird too. And I guess we can kind of talk about this too, because college is like, it's weird. And I say this speaking from experiences, you'll take classes, sometimes even in your major, that you're like, I really don't like this class.
don't like this class. I
And,
don't know how this class is going to help me. How?
yeah.
Yeah, like I totally get it.
And so and especially throughout those times, you'll think to yourself, is this for me? And so I appreciate you sharing that for those exact reasons, because I know someone watching or listening has gone through that or is going through that. And so I'm glad that they could be able to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, you got to do what you love, man. But you also have to find a lot of times what you love. And I feel like one of the reasons and one of the stories I can tell you really quick about how I knew journalism was gonna be for me. I mean,
mhm.
it was not all sunshine when I first knocked on the door and was like, "Hey, let me sign up for these classes."
Yeah.
Man, I had not FOMO. Well, I definitely had some FOMO. I had some imposter syndrome. I mean, the idea of having to work the weekends or go to the game and work the game and not be in the stands and participate as
Hmm.
a fan, that was something you have to learn to live with. Also, the fact of you know I didn't necessarily think being on TV was something. It sounded cool. It
Hmm.
sounded like something that would be fun, but I think until you definitely develop that passion for it and learn how to be charismatic on camera, learn these little tidbits that can go a long way, these traits, it can be very challenging. It can be intimidating. And I had to learn, I ain't gonna say I had to learn the hard way, but man, it took me a long time for me to be able to be comfortable in my own shoes and
Yeah.
be in front of a camera and talk because honestly, I'm a very introverted person.
Me
And
too.
it's funny because like I think about it almost every day. I mean, I don't feel like I'm living a facade or anything, but it's like when the light is on, it's like it's game time. It's the same
Yeah.
thing back to playing sports. Like, okay, I'm not the biggest talker in class, but once that ball get tipped up, man, I'm get back on defense. I'm yelling at my
Yeah.
team. I'm in the huddle. I'm pointing this
Exactly.
back. I'm just a different person. So it's all about finding out, going through things, and developing a love if you have to. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you got to fall in love with certain things.
All right. So, man, from high school to college, when you get to Oxford, what's that transition like for you? Is it, and I say that, is it smooth? Is it rocky one? When I say that, like, I mean, balancing. I know you did practice basketball team. Balancing. Your major, balancing your classes, balancing a job, balancing trying to go and work out and take care of yourself. Was that transition? What was that transition from high school to college life, since you're like on your own for the first time in your life?
Man, I ain't gonna lie to you. That was 13 years ago, bro. So, I kind of still remember, or I kind of blocked them days out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I remember arriving on campus. I remember the feeling like, dang, I want to be perfect, trying to be perfect, or what am I supposed to be doing? Don't have too much fun. And I think, man, with so many things, especially when you are finally on your own and you figuring things out, man, you just gotta, I don't know. You just have to trust your gut, man.
Mm-hmm.
If you really are serious about your education, then you're gonna put that first. But at the same time, I think I remember the days of trying to balance having a social life and also having, just being on top of my academics and being on top of making sure I'm doing this and being making sure I had, certain groceries or whatever. Um, it's challenging. I mean, but I feel like when you're a young adult, you're in your early 20s, man, you are experiencing something that you'll probably won't have to experience once you grow out of that phase. So, yeah, I think it can be challenging, and I kind of remember those days as just not trying to do too much, just trying to do what I can to make it all work. But I think once I got later into college, I started to understand and get more comfortable in being on my own and knowing how to get around. I remember those days having to get on the out bus and
Mm-hmm.
going from to Walmart on the green line, and you back on campus. Then you got to do something else. You got to hop on the blue line. Then so I remember those days. Would I go back to them days? Yeah, to get rid of the gray hairs, but that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's the only time. That's the only reason why I would go back to them days. And for anybody, trying to get settled in, I would just say, just take it as it is. Be patient with yourself. Not don't try to do too much, and just keep the basic principles that got you to college in the first place. Like we all came with some initial reasoning why we got there. Don't forget your why you're there. Enjoy it, but don't forget your why. Whether it's a business trip at the end of the day.
Yes, sir. Um, have you, from the time you kind of started your world of journalism until now, have there been any people that have been maybe mentors or people that you kind of looked up to in terms of you love their work and you watched or read a lot of their work? Have there been people in your career, in your lifetime, that have been able to do that for you?
Yeah, yep, I have. I picked a lot of skills and just tips from some of the best in the business, some people that I call very close friends. Some of my classmates from the SMC. One of my best friends, Sudu Upadea, and a very astute alumnus. He works for Fox 5 in Atlanta. Another guy I call my best friend, Jared Boyd. He is the he's the station manager for a nonprofit station here in Memphis. Very talented dudes. Then I also, along my journey, I picked up traits from when I was behind the scenes from reporters such as Scott Simmons, who is the weekend anchor at WAPT in Jackson, Mississippi, who started in New Orleans and has one of the greatest voices or storytelling abilities that I, was able to be around day in day out. Also, that same station, a and Ross, I can't remember Ross's last name, but it ain't, it's my head, not my heart, Ross. But yeah, Ross Adams from WAPT, one of the best and most aggressive journalists I've ever been around, and I've been blessed working and covering the Masters. And I've rubbed elbows, and I can call up several people that work for ESPN, Stan Verrett. What's my guy name? Stan has been influential for me, and especially helping me when it comes to making decisions. He was actually very big in me deciding to come home when I was deciding that almost 2 years ago now. I had four different offers on the table where I could have went in several different directions with my career after spending 4 years in Augusta. And that's one thing about this business. It's all about opportunities and right time. And I was in the middle of that point in my career then where I could have went to several different markets, but at the last minute, Memphis became available, and I was like, okay, what would be best for me right now? Could I make more money or experience a different climate or different culture, or could I return home and allow not only my friends to see me, but like my younger cousins, my nieces, my nephews see me in this light, and hopefully I can inspire them in this way and kind of get it back. But yeah, like Stan Verrett, he was huge in me coming home. Scott Van Pelt, John Buccigross, all those guys, Mike Tirico. So yeah, this business is a lot smaller than a lot of people give it credit for. It's a lot of us, trust me, but we are all connected somehow, somewhere. I tell you
Yeah.
that.
Can I ask you, throughout your time at Ole Miss, was there any game or moment that you kind of just maybe stood out more, or you remember the most that it was like, this is my favorite moment ever? Like, I'm so glad that I was able to work this moment and be at this moment in live action.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget it. I will absolutely never forget. We had the Louisiana Lafayette one week. That was my first game I covered.
Hmm.
I can't remember who we played the next week, but then I had the opportunity to cover the Alabama game when the goalpost came down. Nobody
Hmm.
else wanted to work that game. I see why. I mean, I just need to get in the stadium. I didn't have no ticket, so man, that was by far. And I remember the opening minute of the game. I was sitting there next to Doc Holliday, who was the sports director at News Channel 5 here in Memphis. And he and I, we didn't know each other. And we were kind of talking back and forth. Turns out he was my dad's college teammate. We had no idea. And right after that, a Memphian, Mark Dotson, returned the opening kickoff. I want to say 80 plus yards, put Ole Miss in great field position. And from then, we were like, okay, this game just feels a little different. Like it just felt different. I'll never forget that game, and I'll never forget the stand up that I tried to do for News Watch. It did not turn out well. It would not. It was not a good stand up. Man, I was like, so how do I put this in words? Like for real, like Ole Miss just beat the number one team in the country, and man, look, I got a one man band this. I'm trying to make sure my light is good. It was a lot. But I remember leaving the stadium that night. It's like, man, if I could do this every weekend, and ain't no telling. So like, I kind of feel like whenever I'm in the stands and I'm like covering an Ole Miss game, we got a little, we got a little chance of winning. So no, I'm supposed to be non-biased, but yeah, yeah, that was a game. That was a moment when I was like, okay, yeah, like I could do this. And that same year, or maybe it was the next year, I followed the men's basketball team to Dayton, Ohio for the first four when they came back after being down by I think 23 at halftime to beat BYU and move on to the first round of the NCAA tournament. So yeah, I was able to cover some cool stuff, man. And Ole Miss is a prime school, especially for sports journalism, where you're gonna get those up close and personal moments. You got the athletes there right on campus. Um, Man, it's just like so much news. There's so much going on at Oxford, and you could just be a part of it. Like I mean, this it's like a little small pocket of like what real life is like, especially as a journalist, because like if you know so and so, then you might be able to get a little info or a little side interview, and you know what I'm saying, like it all works out. And that's the same way that this business is. It's all about who you know, the contacts, and how you can keep building those relationships.
One more thing that I really want to ask you for kind of this topic. I just seeing where the football team is at right now, and I know you're alumni, and obviously the expectations coming into the season have been higher than ever for you. What's it just like to see the your former school kind of be at the heights that it is football wise right now?
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's kind of great because you know the my freshman year, I mean, it was Houston Nuts' final
Mm-hmm.
season in Oxford. We went 2-8. And I remember sitting in the stands. I'm like, bro, I came here for what? I mean, I thought, I mean, I don't know. I just didn't know what I was getting myself into. Then, the Hugh Freeze era started. Then we were rolling. And I remember we were just hot. And I remember just, it was cool. Like, I got to become friends with quite a few of those guys. Then you had so much talent already in Oxford. So it's kind of funny because obviously DK, he was a little after me. But with him being from Oxford, him being close and staying home, that was cool. Now we got the same thing with JJ Pegues
Mm-hmm.
and another Oxford kid. So no, it's very similar seeing the program where it is to where it was when I was there. And this year, man, they look so good. I mean, the defense looks just as good as it was when I was in school. You had Robert Kimdichie and all those guys. What's his name? I can't think of his name. What's my guy name? Can't think of his name. Made the interception against Alabama, but yeah, the defense just looks outstanding. I just read today that it's the first time in SEC history that a school has scored like I think 150 plus points and only given up 9 or less than 10 through 3 games. I mean, yeah, we look good. And I'm really happy what Lane Kiffin has brought to Oxford. And yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. I hadn't been to a game this year and hope to get down there for the Georgia game. But no, Ole Miss football, y'all in store for a good season if they stay hot.
I want to ask you, man. I know you got some referee experience,
Yeah,
some
how
basketball
you know about
referee experience. I do my research, man. You know I got to be prepared, man.
yeah.
So I just want to, because I come from a family of some referees back home, man, and my family has, and they trying to train me now to do some refereeing as well. So I just want to ask you, just talk about your referee experience, man, and kind of what it allowed you to maybe do, maybe like travel and do some referee games. What was that? What was refereeing like for you, man?
Man, Dalen, you got some scoop on me, man. I need to be careful around you. Hold on. Nah, but honestly, doing doing the refing, the officiating, man, it was fun. Especially, so I started doing that right around the time where I got into journalism. So for me, it was like, okay, how can I help this translate?
Yeah.
Because I know sports already, and how can I help understand better about what's going on in the
Hmm.
moment? And as you know, you got a family full of referees. There are 3 teams on the field or on the court.
Yeah.
There's the A team, the B team, and what the umpire and the officiating call themselves Team C.
Hmm.
So you get to see, because a lot of people don't care or like this fact, but referees and umpires and officials, they are people too.
Hmm.
So they make common errors more times than not.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we live in a day when we have a lot of technology,
Hmm.
but mostly, I want to see how a game is called and how, just how the pace of play is dictated. And it was awesome. I was able to not only cover a lot of high school, summer camp games and team camp games in Oxford. But yeah, I got to travel to Dayton, Ohio, and I was able to do a NURSA officiating camp. That was really cool. I mean, spending the weekend on the Ole Miss Dome at in Dayton, Ohio. I do that this weekend. They want me to like have a good time. Yeah, so it was my first time going to Dayton, I believe. Yeah, it was fun, man. It was a good trip.
I love that, man.
That's funny. That's funny you found that. I want to know what version of that. That's funny.
Uh, man, you throughout your time graduating college, uh, where was your mind at? And I say that like, did you get a job offer immediately graduating college? Where did you think your life was headed after you graduated college?
Well, I mean, I knew I was. I mean, my where my life was headed. Shoot, man, I'm trying to find out today where my life going. I just give it up to God. But back then, man, shoot, man, I did not have a job. Freshly graduating, I actually stayed an extra semester. Graduated December 2015, because I had to take a few more classes. So I stayed around Oxford, but at the time, so man, I was working 4 jobs. I was officiating, and I was doing more stuff with the campus rec department. But I was also working in the housing office for my apartment complex, and I was bartending at the Lyric. So yeah, it was man. Look, I take that cash today, man. It's quick cash working at the Lyric, man, for them concerts and mustache band and all that stuff, man. We had a good time in there. But yeah, it was fun. I did that like wholeheartedly. I did just solo that for like almost yeah, like 3 months. I think I got my first job in April, so almost 4 months of kind of just living and grinding and getting through the day to day. And I knew something was gonna give. Plus, I had Deb Winger on my side, and Deb know everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
Deb stamp you. You just gotta live up to the expectations. And I was happy when she gave me a call saying that a former alum who had came to critique us, Allie Ware, who was at WAPT with me. She was a reporter, so a few years ahead of me, but she was like, "Hey, we got a news photographer and news editor position. You got any students that's still looking for a job?" And Deb called me right up, and look, I went down to Jackson and had an interview, and we went to Nukes, and I told him, "Hey, I want to do this, but I really want to do sports." I told my news director Ben Hart that straight up. He was like, "Okay, how we gonna get you to do sports then?" I was like, "All right, watch this." And we got down there. I wasn't doing sports. They had an opening come up in a weekend department, and I was like, "Hey, I told you I want to do sports. What happened?" He was like, I ain't saying you do no sports. How you gonna tell me you want to do sports again?" Anyway, they hired a very good friend of mine, Ashley Shamadi, who recently was the Charlotte Hornets sideline reporter for Bally's, and fantastic hire, great person. And from then, once she got the job, I was like, you know what? All right, I'm kicking it back into gear. Like I took a little break off. Let me try to really get my foot in the door. And it took me from I want to say maybe that October to January or February before I got my first shot at doing something. Well, I think it had been a year. So yeah, it had been a year, and I like a year later, I was like, hey, they let me do something, and it was cool. I did. I went to Crystal Springs versus Hazelhurst, a basketball game, a playoff game, and I had to go down there, drive, shoot a look live, turn it back, and make the 10 o'clock news. And I didn't make the 10 o'clock news. And it just, man, look, it was my first time on deadline. I mean, I came back, I was in tears, man. I was like, I'm sorry, I failed y'all. Man, everybody was like, man, they gave me love, they supported me. I was like, okay, bet. And next opportunity I did was a bowling story about this 80 plus year old veteran who loved the sport of bowling. Um, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Robbie Robinson. Not sure if he's still alive, but he was a fantastic guest. He let me come through his house and he told me about his love for bowling and how he met his wife and they bowled and when he was in the army and this whole thing. And I told that for Valentine's Day that following year. And yeah, I was able to get my real first job off of those stories. And also when I going to Jackson State, the practice field, and creating stand-ups on my off days. I would go out there with another colleague of mine, good friend of mine, Kendall Green. He works in New York now. He didn't go the sports route. He wanted to just do news. And he and I would go out, make sure we set up the camera right since we were both photographers, and we'll go out there and we'll do stand-ups. We'll just go out there and practice, and that's all about getting better. You gotta get the reps in somehow. Ain't nobody gonna give it to you, so you gotta let folks know when you're ready. And that was one point. That was what I ultimately learned about graduating and being in that stalemate period. Like you gotta be ready when your name called, man. Like you nobody's gonna hand you a job. And that's probably the biggest lesson I can give anybody. Just be ready. Don't be stagnant. Always work on your craft when you need when you feel like you there's an opportunity there. Because you never know when somebody's gonna need somebody to come in and pinch hit. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what happened to me.
Yeah. I want to ask you, who've been some of your, I know, because I know we talked about basketball a lot. Who have been some of your favorite players, either maybe growing up or now? Who's just been people that you've kind of just loved watching their game?
Just basketball or
Anything. It can be any sport in general.
man, that's really good question. Man, I will say, being here, living in Augusta, covering the Grizzlies, um, man, I don't cover some cool dudes. Um, and I don't say that just like men, but men and women. Man, I've covered South Carolina Gamecocks, Don Staley, uh, her team. I covered them in 2019 when they were going undefeated, but that season got derailed by COVID. I've been able to cover Tiger Woods. I was just telling the story today when I was playing golf about the first time I smelled him. And yeah, I said I smelled Tiger Woods. Man, I was in, man, like I ain't never smelled somebody that smelled so good. Hey, I'm just saying. And I was outside. Look, we were at Augusta, and it was a practice round, and he came. He was walking by, and I've been excited. I've been antsy. The only thing I hear is just Tiger, Tiger. So I know I knew he was around. So I kind of start, you know, seeing what was up, and all of a sudden I see him walking. He like walking this way. I'm behind him. Man, this gust of wind come by, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, hold on, man, that smell expensive. That smells strong, man. And yeah, Tiger, he's up there being able to interview him and be in those rooms. Um, John Morant, just yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird now because I don't really think about them like that in that light anymore. I mean, like it's cool, but like at this point, like a lot of people have to remind me about. Oh yeah, I forgot that. Like I did a one-on-one with Antonio Brown one time, like just before he
Mm-hmm.
went out the deep end.
Yeah.
So no, it's just all. I think it's more so about the story about that's gotten me into those rooms than meeting those actual people a lot of times. Um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like now it's more so what are you doing to make yourself stand out in those moments, and it's just about as much as me as it is for them. Like a lot of times, people put athletes on these pedestals where they seem like a figure. What they are, trust me, they have a huge following. They make a lot of money to do it, but at the same time, they people. And I feel like a lot of people forget a lot of times that these are regular, breathing people that are alive and they're gonna die just like you and I. So I think a lot of people put a lot of too much into that. So I don't know. That's just my my take on it.
I'm big on music, man, and so I love to ask, just kind of like other people's musical taste. So, who are some of the people like you just listen to on a day to days? Maybe your favorite artists. What are some of your favorite songs? Are you more diverse music person? Like, what's your music taste like?
Pretty diverse, man. I'm first off, I've been on the '70s soul for a minute now. I listen to a lot of Stax music.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, keep it home. Love Isaac Hayes. Love Betty Wright. No pain, no gain. I like that good old cookout music. Then I go with some classic rock too. I like some Led Zeppelin sometimes, some Steely Dan. Then I can switch it over to Lil Baby and Gunna. So I like it all. I like it all.
Um, Going through your journey, because I know I know this, and because doing my research and you've talked about it. You've been into Jackson, you've been in Louisiana, you've been in Georgia. Throughout your process of kind of traveling, what did those kind of smaller markets, I guess, kind of prepare you to be back home? And now, not a crazy large market, but Memphis is a bigger market than the place you've been. What is just kind of some of the maybe small things you learned in your jobs previous to where you are now, maybe help prepare you to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think most importantly, you get those early mistakes out
Hmm.
early. Like you can make a mistake in a 170 market like like Alexandria, that won't be as jarring if you do it in a 109 market like Augusta.
Hmm.
So I think I think it's also about being comfortable on camera, knowing how to pivot, knowing how to be more off the fly, off the cuff, being more authentic, being not married to a script all the time, just knowing your message and trying to get it across as best as possible. I also think it taught me how to work with fewer resources,
Yeah.
having to one man band and still be creative and still have to go track and do my own live shot and I learned a lot of this stuff then, where I don't necessarily have to do a lot of that now, but you know, it's such a grind to, especially in sports. A lot of times it's a huge grind to get your foot in the door, make those mistakes, and also from there figure out what can I put on tape that is going to be a version of myself that's better than how I came here, and who is going to want this product in their market.
Yeah.
And I feel like now, yeah, Memphis isn't the biggest market. It's 50, 51. And I feel like now, more so than ever, just by from where I started to the shoe and position I'm in now, I feel like I could go anywhere in the country and do what I'm doing. Like I have that type of confidence. And I feel like when you're starting out, you necessarily have to build that confidence up to a level where you feel like, okay, this comment from this viewer isn't gonna hurt me. This mistake that I did and being reprimanded by my superior isn't gonna break me.
Hmm.
The you build thicker skin, you become more resilient, and the ultimate thing is, are you going to be denied by what people say or determined by, what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
I ultimately believe that. So yeah, I would say that. I mean, just being more comfortable, being more authentic in myself is the biggest thing that I can say I've accomplished so far from where I started to where I am now.
Colin, I want to ask you, and I've kind of get the gist of some of these things, but like when you're not working,
Yeah,
what are some of your hobbies? What do you do in your free time to just kind of keep you calm to make you who you are? Like, what are some of the things you do outside of work?
yeah. Well, I will say this. As you probably already know, I play golf.
Hmm.
I play golf a bit. Um, so I like to go and try to hack around. Not saying I'm good by any means. It's something that keeps me, kind of balanced. I get to turn the phone off for a few hours and go out and enjoy some sunshine, some rain, just feel alive. And yeah, hang out with my girlfriend, my dog, and that's about it. Really, I don't really, we hang out and got some friends, but I try to live really low key when I'm not at work,
Hmm.
because trust me, when you go to the grocery store, once you've been on TV and you do like a tape recording for the morning show, people legit think that they know you, and that's a great thing. But when you are at Walgreens at 10 a.m. trying to pick up your prescription, and somebody be like, man, I don't know what happened to that game last night. I'm like, bro, all right, man. Like, I guess we can do this right now. You just
Yeah.
gotta pick it up where it is, and I enjoy that. I love it when people can kind of recognize me. Though it's like an older demographic mostly.
Hmm.
I really enjoy when people are, they know I'm part of the community, and that's why I'm here. I want to shine the light on my community because I'm a part of this.
I want to ask you if you can, um, could you like give people watching and listening like a breakdown of your workday? Like what time do you get up? What goes maybe into your process of preparing for work? What time do you get to the studio? What do you do when you're at the studio? Like when do you get home? Like if you could, like what's like a typical day for you?
Yeah. Well, one reason why I got into this business because no 2 days are the same, but mostly when I'm, let's say, you mean like if I'm anchoring or if I'm reporting, because they're two different days.
If you're anchoring.
Okay, anchor day for me, I probably get up about I don't know about 6:45, 6:30. Take the dog out. We walk around about 15+ minutes or so. Then, depending on if how tired I am, I might try to crash for an hour or so. But then I like to go to the gym. I like to get to the gym about like 10:30. Spend at least an hour, hour and a half in there. So get out of there about noon. Try to make me something to eat. Then I try to get to work about 3 or 2:45 ish. So get myself about a 2 hour. Like all right,
Mhm.
level yourself. Then at work, I arrive. Obviously, well, throughout the day, I'm always on the phone. I'm always checking the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, trying to see if I missed something, my email, and from hopefully by the time I arrive at work, I have some type of idea of what I'm going to put in my 6 o'clock show. So I give myself about 3 to 2.5 hours that I stack a show and I build my rundown and also write my scripts. I slate my video, and yeah, and about I'll say 5:45, I'm going over my words, making sure nothing's misspelled, and by 6:18, 6:20, I'm live for 2.5 minutes of content, 2 minutes and 45 seconds actually. Close at the 6 o'clock show at 6:27. From then, I go and grab me some dinner. I might come home, pick me up a sandwich. Might well, yeah, I'll go back to the station and I'll build a new rundown with new material. And that's for the 10 o'clock show. And off the set at 10:31, 10:32, come home. Then I'm walking the dog, then getting ready for bed and probably sleep by 1. So, I try to pack my day with a lot of things.
Yeah.
And trust me, a game day with the Grizzlies is even more interesting because they got shoot around at 10:30 a.m. So I'm there at FedEx Forum at 10 o'clock. So from there, let's say they're done at 12, and I try to work out about an hour, get to work by 2:30, write my script for my 6 o'clock live hit, put the video and all the elements I need in there, then go live, watch the game, send highlights back to the studio. Um, then I'm in the post game, doing a post game interview with Taylor Jenkins. Then we go to the locker room and we're waiting on Jaron Jackson Jr., who is the slowest dresser ever. Jaron have us waiting an hour uh, just so he can be fresh and still be putting on lotion. I'm like, bro, hurry up. Anyway, yeah, so I leave FedEx Forum probably about 11, and yeah, and then I come home, take the dog out, and yeah, so yeah, every day is different, but there's a lot of fun things that's
Hmm.
mixed in.
Thank you for sharing that. That's interesting. I love to hear that because it kind of gives myself and people listening a more dynamic of what you do when goes into your
Oh,
day. So thank you for that.
no
I
problem.
want to ask you, and you may or may not have an answer to this, and that's okay if you don't. But do you have an end goal? Like, is there somewhere that you want to be or something you specifically want to do, at a certain point in your life? Do you have a goal that you like essentially want to be at one point in your life?
In this career,
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, I think when I started out early, it was always ESPN or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not necessarily the case. I feel like the more I've done this, and the more I've enjoyed doing it. It's all about community. That's why we do it, is for a community. It's not necessarily about just being on TV. I mean, that's a huge caveat to it, but at the same time, I think what we do as beacons of our community, we get to shine light on a lot of people that might not necessarily have the opportunity to, you know, be on TV, or especially from on the prep level. A lot of times, a lot of young athletes, man, they just looking forward to seeing their name in the paper or on the news, and they can have something to make their parents and their grandparents proud of. And I enjoy that aspect of it. I mean, I would still love to do ESPN, or go to a certain market, I guess. But right now, man, I've learned on my journey, um, to when you it's like I said earlier, it's all about opportunity and timing a lot of time. And a lot of people think it's mostly that they don't have the talent. That's not always the case. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times it just doesn't line up that way. So man, I've become a person who is so much an advocate for being where your feet are. That's the most important thing. You can't have one job and necessarily just be, down in the dumps because you didn't get this call up, or they didn't consider you for this position. Man, a lot of times it's just so hard to already be in your position, as if with young journalists like yourself coming up, with things moving towards a more digital side of things. The local TV or regional television jobs is challenging, and they aren't always going to be there because things are changing constantly. So I think, more so just being grateful where I am now, and if certain things open up, I listen to it, But right now, I couldn't ask for a better spot to be in. Got my family in the backyard. I got got my family, my friends, and I get to cover some teams and sports that I grew up watching. So yeah, I think that's mostly what I'm happy for right now. I'm just happy to be where I'm at.
Okay, I love that, man. Dinner with 5 people, dead or alive, who would it be?
Dinner, 5 people, dead or alive. Okay. Whew. All right. You caught me off guard there. Man, that's a good one. Hmm. I'm gonna say, all right. Let's see what I got. Michael Jackson. That's one. Then I'm gonna say um, Walter Payton.
Okay,
I'm gonna say,
Michael Walter.
hmm,
You can do 3 if you can't think of 5.
okay. Let's see. Dang, you got some really good questions. Oh, all right. And I'm gonna do my guy, Stuart Scott.
I love that. Stewart, okay, you about to make me get all emotional on camera. Stewart was my idol. He was the reason that I wanted to become a sports journalist. And so
Oh, wow.
I'm following this dream because of Stewart's dream. And so that makes me really, really heartfelt to hear. I love that, man. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yep. Yep.
Wow,
So
I'm sure Stewart is up there smiling right now, seeing us working through this journey. So I really love to hear that, man. That makes me really happy, and I'm glad that he's not just able to inspire me. So I love that, man.
yeah, absolutely. He was a huge reason why I wanted to go to ESPN, right? Do
Mm-hmm.
sports center. And I love obviously watching Stan Barrett, but like, Stewart was he was out
Yeah,
there. He was the first one like us that was killing it. And yeah, he's a beacon. And yeah, I know he's shining down, man.
yeah,
He's covering all of this.
yeah, yeah. I've gotten a chance to chat with some of his colleagues, Jay Harris and Michael Eaves, and
Oh yeah,
man,
Michael.
just hearing what he was like is just all inspiring.
Yeah,
And just authentic, how authentic he was too. Just it really just it feels good to know that he's inspired a lot of people because a lot of people can be themselves and uh obviously a lot of people probably didn't like Stewart because he was himself, but there was also a lot of people like ourselves that fell in love with that and devoted what we did to that. So I really do love to hear that.
yeah.
And I want to ask you, man, it's like kind of like two questions in one. And the first one is a piece of advice you would give to people listening. It doesn't have to be like about your career or anything. It can just be a piece of advice about life in general that maybe you want to share with people, maybe going through a tough time or anything in general you may want people to kind of remember as a piece of advice to go on about their life. And secondly, I'm big on legacy and just doing things that I really want to be remembered for and making things happen the way I want them to be remembered for. So I want to ask you as well, when people hear the name Colin Cody, what do you always want people to remember about who you were as a person and what you did in your lifetime?
Man, how you gonna ask me two heavy hitter questions like back to back?
It's a
Well,
tradition, man.
all right. Well, 1A, I'm gonna say, yeah, I think something that my dad has always told me, especially going through a tough time, a good time, take it one day at a time. That's all you
Hmm.
can do. One day at a time, do the best you can, and just keep it going. Just keep moving. If it's hard or not, you just gotta, take it one day, 1 minute, and just perseverance. And the second part, I'm gonna go to something my mother has always told me. Man, since I was a little kid, my mom has always poured into me words of encouragement and something that will always stick with me. She would tell me, only thing you got in this world or whatever, and the only thing you got in this world is your name. So people, you ain't gonna take nothing else with you, but like how you, like you're saying exactly, how you treat people, how you
Hmm.
um, act, how you control your emotions. Um, that's the only thing people will ultimately remember you by. So I like to live my life, not necessarily like. Like live my life like I'm some type of person that has to be careful, but like I just want to be authentically me. I also want to leave this world, like you said, in a better way than I found it. And what that means is ultimately, I mean, if that is being a good neighbor, a good son, a good, um, you know, brother, good whoever. I just want to make this time on this little amount of time that we get out here. I want to make it as meaningful as I can for the people around me and those who I'm blessed to come in contact with. So that's mainly my whole thing, man. Just try to make the most out of everything, every moment, and take it one day at a time. That's it.
I love that, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's usually like the last question I ask, but I want to try something with you for the first time ever, and it's gonna be so the last episode of season 4. I want to try. I really don't know what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say like quick hitters for right now, but I just want to ask you like a few quick questions, and like
Okay,
just like the first thing that comes to your mind. I just want that answer. Okay.
I got you.
All right. So first question I want to ask you is, if you can travel to anywhere in the world outside of the U.S. and live there for the rest of your life, where would you live?
Hawaii. I mean,
Okay.
I know it's not outside the U.S., but you know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying. It is technically. It
Dream
take
car.
8 hours to get there. It take 4 hours to fly there from Los Angeles. That is not the United States.
Dream car.
Dream car. Ooh, 64 Corvette.
Ooh, okay. I like that. Uh, if you could catch a flight with one person and you had to jump out that flight because the flight was crashing, who would you take with you?
Are we gonna live?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm gonna have. I'm gonna say my girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can only eat one food for the rest of your life. What would you eat?
Ooh. I would say like some type of cookie or brownie, but like let's be honest, that's gonna make my teeth hurt. So I'm gonna say pizza for sure.
Okay. Favorite video game growing up?
Ooh. Um. Man, I would say 2K, but nah, I ain't even gonna go that way. I'm gonna say uh, Def Jam Vendetta, Fight for Your Life or something like that.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's old school. Okay.
yeah.
Um,
No. I'm gonna go Street Volume 2.
okay. Oh, I like that. I like
And
that one.
Street,
Okay.
yeah.
What's one thing that you're not good at that you wish you were good at?
Golf, easy.
I like that. One last thing, man. If you could only do one thing differently in your career, what would it be, if anything?
What do you mean different?
Like, would you maybe have taken a different job? Maybe
Mm.
done something maybe like instead of doing specifying your time on this thing, you maybe done something else. That's what I kind of mean, if that makes sense.
I wouldn't do anything different. I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
All right,
You know?
man. I appreciate you, Colin. I've enjoyed having the chance to talk with you, man. Learn about you, laugh a little bit with you. It's really been a pleasure of mine to have you on, and I thank you so much for giving me some of your time to be able to share your story, share your journey, and have a conversation with you as well, man.
Hey, Dalen, I'm thankful that you asked me, man, and you're gonna go far. I really appreciate the conversation, the questions you asked. You're a really good host, great moderator, great pace to this interview. You did an outstanding job. This is only the beginning for you, and I can't wait to see where the Dalen show goes. You know what I'm saying? You're going far.
I appreciate that so much, man. Look, just want to say again, thank you so much for joining me. Like I say that a lot, and I say that to everyone that's been a part of the show. But like you guys don't have to do this, and so like it truly means a lot for me for you guys to do it and just kind of be as authentic as you have been and be as real and honest as you have been because you don't have to be. So I truly just mean thank you for that because it gives my dream hope and it gives other people a chance to learn and listen and laugh as well. So thank you again. And to people, thank you. Like I literally, we started season 4 at the end of January. Now it is here in time for me to say goodbye once again. Again, I take some months off in between seasons. I do not know when season 5 will be back, but hopefully I will get it in store and ready for you guys as soon as possible. But this has been a season full of so much growth in every aspect of the show, and that's only accustomed to you guys. So I say thank you for your support. I have no idea where I'm headed with my career with this, but for 4 years, I've been able to do 20 episodes every season and a few additional ones. And it's literally only possible because of you guys. And my mom behind the scenes works really hard and some very close people that have allowed me to work and connect with them as well. So I just say thank you guys. This 4th season has been incredible to just do what I love, but also kind of reach out. Like we've done so many people outside of sports this season. And that's just been very monumental to my heart because that was something I incited, taking that year off from year 3 to season 3 to season 4 to just build. So thank you guys so much. I really, truly hope that you guys are taking care of yourself and are loving yourselves because don't do anything when you're not okay. You need to take care of yourselves before you can also go and try and do anything else. And so if you're not, learn how to take care of yourselves and balance that if you can. So I thank you guys again, and I hope nothing but blessings, love, and happiness on you guys' life. And it's you as well, Colin. I wish the best on everything else that you continue to do in your endeavors, man. Thank you so much.
No problem. Likewise, my guy.
I,
Likewise.
I appreciate it, man. Take care, you guys. Hopefully, I'll see you guys soon. All love, everyone.